The first stone hit the wagon wheel with a sharp crack, and Eliza's heart lurched as the crowd's jeers rose like a storm. Bound by coarse rope, her wrists burned, her head hung low, and the splintered wood of the wagon creaked beneath her as it rolled through the dusty streets of Willow Creek. The townsfolk, her neighbors, her kin, stood in a sea of scorn, their faces twisted with righteous fury. She was a pariah now, branded a sinner for a crime she didn't commit, and the weight of their judgment crushed her more than the ropes ever could. Yet, in that moment of despair, she heard it, a single, steady set of boots pounding the earth, chasing the wagon. A voice, raw and defiant, cut through the mob's roar, "Stop this madness." It was Caleb, the man who'd loved her in secret, and he was coming to set her free. Eliza had always been the quiet soul of Willow Creek, a young woman of 23 with kind eyes and a knack for mending broken things, clothes, hearts, even the occasional cracked plow. She lived with her ailing mother in a modest cabin on the edge of town, tending their small garden and sewing dresses for wealthier women. Her life was simple, unassuming, but her beauty and gentle spirit drew attention she never sought. Caleb, a blacksmith's apprentice with broad shoulders and a guarded heart, had been smitten since the day he saw her mend a child's torn coat in the town square, her fingers deft and her smile soft. Their bond grew in stolen moments, shared glances at church, brief talks by the river, but they kept it hidden, knowing the town's prying eyes would disapprove of a match between a poor seamstress and a man with no land to his name. Trouble came like a shadow in the night. Eliza's cousin, Martha, a spiteful woman married to the town's wealthiest merchant, had always envied Eliza's quiet grace. When Martha's husband, Thomas, was caught stealing from the church's offering box, Martha spun a lie to save his reputation. She accused Eliza of the theft, claiming she'd seen her slip coins into her apron. The town, eager for a scandal and swayed by Thomas's influence, believed Martha's tale. Eliza's protests were drowned out by whispers of betrayal. Her mother's pleas fell on deaf ears. The council, led by Thomas, declared Eliza's punishment: she would be tied to a wagon, paraded through town, and shamed before being banished. It was a relic of an older, crueler time, but Willow Creek clung to its traditions. The morning of the parade dawned gray and heavy. Eliza stood in the town square, her hands bound, as Martha smirked from the crowd. The wagon, an old hay cart, was pulled by a mule, and the ropes cut into Eliza's skin as she was tethered to its side. The first jeers came from children, egged on by their parents, and soon the crowd swelled with venom. "Thief," they shouted. "Sinner." A rotten apple struck her shoulder, and tears stung her eyes, but she refused to sob. She wouldn't give them that victory. Her mother, too frail to stand among the mob, wept alone at home, and Eliza's heart broke at the thought of leaving her behind. Caleb had been at his forge when he heard the news. He'd been saving every coin to buy a plot of land, dreaming of a life with Eliza, but the rumors of her guilt had stunned him. At first, he doubted, how could his Eliza, with her honest heart, steal? But the town's certainty gnawed at him, and he spent a sleepless night wrestling with fear and faith. It was only at dawn, when he overheard a drunken Thomas boast about teaching that girl a lesson, that Caleb's doubt shattered. Fury replaced it. He grabbed his hammer, not for violence but for courage, and ran to the square. By the time he reached the wagon, it was halfway through town. The crowd parted as he barreled forward, his face flushed with righteous anger. "Stop this," he bellowed, his voice cracking with emotion. The mule driver, a nervous boy, hesitated, and the wagon slowed. Caleb climbed onto the cart, ignoring the crowd's gasps, and knelt beside Eliza. Her eyes, wide with shock, met his, and in them, he saw not guilt but pain. "I know you didn't do it," he whispered, his hands trembling as he worked at the ropes. The crowd roared in protest, but Caleb didn't flinch. "Let them hate me," he said. "I won't let them break you." The ropes fell away, and Eliza stumbled into his arms, her legs weak from fear and shame. The crowd's jeers turned to confusion, then outrage. Thomas pushed forward, his face red. "She's a thief." "You're defying the council," he spat. Caleb stood tall, his hammer still in hand, and faced the mob. "Where's your proof?" he demanded. "You've got Martha's word, but what else? Search her home, her apron, find one coin, and I'll tie these ropes myself." The crowd faltered, murmurs rippling through them. No one had seen evidence, only trusted Thomas's wealth and Martha's lies. Eliza found her voice, though it shook. "I never touched the church's money," she said, loud enough for all to hear. "Martha lied to protect her husband."
Ask Thomas where the offering box coins went."
The crowd turned to Thomas, whose bluster faded under their scrutiny. Martha, pale and shrinking, tried to slip away, but a neighbor blocked her path. The truth unraveled swiftly. Thomas, cornered, confessed to his theft, claiming it was a moment of weakness. Martha's lie crumbled with it. The council, shamed by their haste, revoked Eliza's punishment, and the crowd dispersed, some muttering apologies, others avoiding her gaze, but the damage was done.
Eliza's trust in Willow Creek was broken.
Her mother, weakened by grief, grew sicker, and Eliza feared she'd lose her too.
Caleb, now branded a troublemaker, faced whispers of his own.
The challenges they faced were steep, rebuilding their lives in a town that had betrayed them, caring for Eliza's mother, and holding on to their love amidst lingering suspicion. Yet they faced each trial together. Caleb worked double shifts at the forge, earning enough to buy medicine for Eliza's mother. Eliza, with her needle and thread, began sewing again, her work sought by those who regretted their cruelty. Slowly, their cabin became a haven, filled with quiet laughter and shared dreams. One evening, as the sun dipped low, Caleb took Eliza to the river where they'd first spoken.
He knelt, not with a ring but with a promise.
"I don't have much," he said, "but I have you, and I'll fight for us every day." Eliza, tears in her eyes, nodded, and they vowed to leave Willow Creek one day, to find a place where shame couldn't touch them.
Months later, Eliza's mother grew stronger, and the town, chastened, began to heal.
Thomas and Martha left in disgrace, and the council abolished the wagon punishment, a relic no one defended anymore. Eliza and Caleb never forgot the pain, but they chose forgiveness over bitterness. Their love, forged in fire, became a beacon for others. They stayed in Willow Creek a while longer, not for the town but for each other, building a life from the ashes of shame. When they finally left, it was with heads high, bound not by ropes but by hope. The story of Eliza and Caleb reminds us that courage can silence a mob, that love can mend what hate tears apart. No matter how dark the moment, there's always someone willing to run toward the sound of your pain, to untie you, to lift you up, and to stand when others turn away. Hold fast, for even in the hardest of times, redemption is possible, and a new dawn waits for those who dare to fight for it.